Campbelltown's a really diverse place. We have some of the most socially disadvantaged communities living in Campbelltown, but also we have one of the 4th highest income earning suburbs in New South Wales. So there's this massive disparity. And so it's important that when we're looking to create projects that we're inclusive as we possibly can be with the resources that we have. So where the list came from was a conversation that I was having with a curator about our community. We were talking about the different communities that we engage with, and we noticed that we weren't engaging strongly enough with young people. Young people are one of the biggest communities in Campbelltown. And so we felt that as a part of the Arts Centres program that we needed to start thinking about, okay, how do we engage with young people? So that was the kind of start of the list. And what we actually thought was, how can we place artistic practice within, these types of communities? We started by thinking of artists that had worked with community previously, not necessarily young people, but had worked with various communities in a very, very strong and ethical way. And then secondly, we started thinking about artists that had very, very strong practices, but not necessarily working with community previously. So we got a group of artists together and we asked for proposals. And from those proposals, that's where we started formulating the list. For us, it's about collaboration, whether it's artists collaborating with artists or artists collaborating with community or artists collaborating with various partners. This show is all about partnerships and all about collaboration. The majority of the things that we do is we place artists within these kind of really interesting contexts where they can create something that they might not necessarily create.
It all started as a conversation between the director, Michael Dagostino, and myself about how we can engage with another demographic in the community. So young people, I think, has a huge population here in Campbelltown and Greater Western Sydney. Youth culture is such a prominent aspect of society. So we looked at how we could do this through contemporary art. So we engaged a group of artists that had a practice or an outcome that was a little bit reliant on participation or engagement in any way. So whether it was the source or the research or the actual physical presence in work. So all of the artists had an aspect of that in what they were doing. So we brought various artists on board from Australia, some international, to create a new work in Campbelltown with Campbelltown people, or they did in different ways. So we did a few online residencies, we did more research-based residencies. It was a range, so engagement ended up being quite broad. It was from workshops, from interviews, from participating in forums. So it was quite general but quite broad. So we approached that in a really kind of organic way.
How important to you is the sort of residency model in terms of in community engagement?
It's important in that to do a work or to create a work with a community, if that was the approach, you had to have some time here or some connection with the people you're about to work with. So whether you were here physically or here, say, online or more in a research context, it's important. If you're going to do a collaborative work or you're going to do a work that has engagement attached to it, you need to get to know the people you're working with. You need to get to know the community you're working with and the place. I think for the outcome to have a sort of more genuine or organic engagement attached to it, people need to spend time in the place, and I think it's a good opportunity for people to get to know artists and relationships form. So I think it's not only a good opportunity for the work to be created, it's also an opportunity for sort of future professional development or just future relationships. You never know what the outcome is going to be. You have a good idea of the process. You can perceive as much as you can what reactions might occur, but I think that's the exciting part. You don't actually know what the end is going to be. You don't know what the outcome is going to be, and that's an exciting thing, but also a daunting thing, I can imagine, for the artists that participate. It's really organic and it's exciting, and it means that they can push boundaries or sort of shift from peripheries that they might not necessarily explore if they had a more controlled environment, or weren't working with other people, or weren't relying on other people to assist and make their work. I think hitting the mark with working with communities, Kate Blackmore's work was a really solid and really conscious approach to working with the community. So we teamed her up with Mission Australia, and she worked directly with young girls that visit the centre or interact with the centre's program that were also part of a Four Corners story growing up poor, that had had a huge media attention on the area that might not have necessarily been taken in a very positive way. So Kate was working with a group of girls that were very conscious of what they say and how they act and how they, they're tough girls, and they we thought, we went to various different parts of Campbelltown and talked to various different people, youth workers, police, organisations that are there for supporting young people in danger. So we had a really good network of people, and they all guided us to Claymore, and we got in touch with Sharon Black from Mission Australia, and she had a perfect set of girls in mind, and these, as I said, were the girls that were part of this Four Corners series. And they were very hesitant at first, but Kate was conscious of their reactions and how they were feeling, and embraced them, and they embraced her. They clicked, they had a relationship, they formed relationships over quite a few weeks of her literally just going there and hanging out with them, going out to the shops and doing their day-to-day things. And they got on board quickly because they saw it as an opportunity to empower themselves, but also give a voice, give their voice, give their story, and interact with an artwork that was going to be directed by them and collaboratively engaged with the artist, with Kate. One of the main things I have learnt from this is how important it is to build the relationships in the community and give it time and let things happen and let things be a bit more ephemeral and let things just happen naturally and let relationships happen naturally. And if they don't happen, that's okay, because there's always other people that you can get on board. And I think, but it's important to always be inclusive, and it's always important to keep the communication up and always invite them to the Art Centre and always invite them back, whether it's something they're physically or participating in, or whether it just might be something that they're interested in. I think we're in a really unique position to bring the art out to the community, but also give a voice to the community, and it's a real privilege to have that opportunity. So I think that's something that I'm very conscious of for the projects that I work on, and I think it's also it's an opportunity for the artists and it's an opportunity for the community, and I'm in a unique position to almost put them together.